right, good morning everybody. My name is Tiffany Hill. I was asked to come here and be a moderator. So I will be repeating everybody's questions and trying to keep it a little bit orderly. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's going to be a debate between UPEC and Teamsters.
I can't hear you very well.
Sorry. Stand up.
You stand up.
All right, sorry about that. So my name is Tiffany Hill. I was asked to come here as a moderator. Thank you for joining us this morning for the debate between UPEC and the Teamsters. So I will just be taking your guys' questions and repeating them to make sure they get on camera and everybody hears them equally, okay? I'll make sure to talk loud next time. And so I think we're going to start with introductions.
Good morning. Thank you for being here, and I want to thank Dave Hawley and his crew for arranging this forum today and setting this up. I think it's going to be very insightful for all of us. I'm Chris Darker. I'm the business manager and secretary-treasurer of United Public Employees of California, Local 792. And I'd like to introduce my staff, and I'll start with my right-hand man here on my right side. Steve Allen. Steve is our chief negotiator. He does the majority of the negotiations throughout our local. We have Robin Lee from the Skilled Trades Unit, the Butte County Skilled Trades Unit. We have Ron Copeland. He is a labor representative, works primarily in Shasta County, but also from Lassen County, Trinity County, and those areas. And Christine Perry is our labor relations assistant. And what she does is go around and make sure that we have standing meetings in the different areas that we have members, monthly standing meetings, so that communication is taken to our membership and communication is also received back so that we can prepare for negotiations and potential workplace problems. Next is Ryan Herron. Ryan is a labor representative. He's currently in this area as well. In a couple of weeks, he's looking forward to transferring down to the Pacific Grove area, where we represent about 16 public employee bargaining units. So he's going to be suffering down in the Monterey area going forward. Next is John Kuhn. John is just a retired lieutenant from Butte County Deputy Sheriffs, and he's been helping us facilitate some of the on-site meetings that we've been having in Butte County over the last several months. And Osha Motley is our attorney. He's our staff attorney. He takes care of what we call evidentiary hearings. So if a person gets to the point where they're maybe in a termination case, interdiscipline, we kick it up to the attorney level, and Osha handles evidentiary hearings. So that's an introduction of our staff. Thank you.
My name is Dave Hawley, Teamsters Local 131. I'm the principal officer. I have been for 25 years. This is Kim Corelli, business agent with the local. Not sure, I didn't bring my whole staff. I pretty much do everything they do, and I have other folks that do that too. We have 3 other business agents out of our office, 2 full-time staff, and professional staff in Reading that handle our folks' health and welfare dues and so forth. We also have an officer in Chico. I didn't know where you wanted to go with opening remarks, or just do introductions first.
Yeah, I think going to opening remarks.
We brought some materials for you today, put it in the packet. We're just kind of focused on what those are. We're going to stand here and read them, but I just want to let you know what's in it. A little bit about how our local started. We belong to the Labor's International Union in North America. It's an international union, both in the United States and Canada. We have about over 500,000 members. We belong to the public sector side of that, and we have a public employee division in Washington, D.C., where our main office is. We have about 450 locals throughout the United States and Canada. Our local is based out of Reading, where we opened business about 20 years ago. Steve and I have put together this local over the last 20 years, and have started obviously in the Reading, Shasta County area and Glenn County area. We had about 5 or 6 bargaining units that we started with in 1995. And since then, we've moved into 14 counties, from Carmel to Wairika, and represent 64 bargaining units in 14 counties. One of the things that I've set out to do as a business manager, and of course this got decided after a few years that Steve preferred that I do the administrative part of things, and he take over, he do the negotiations and the representation. So probably for the first 18 years, I was not only running the local on the administrative business side, but I was also out in the field working day-to-day representation, negotiating contracts, and so forth. So over the years, we have tried several different representation models, and I think that we have come up with a representation model that works very well for our membership as well as our staff. And we call that layers of representation. And in one of the pages in the booklet, we talk about what that is. And we have labor representatives, which I've introduced here, that do the day-to-day work. It's your grievances, complaints, help you with your evaluations, maybe write a response, and take it up to what's called the Skelly level hearings. If something is serious and needs more attention, or needs to go to an appeal or an evidentiary hearing, the representative then kicks it up to the attorney level, which Ocean handles those evidentiary hearings, so that he has the time, the expertise to be able to do a hearing. And then the rep can go back to doing the day-to-day contacts. What we also do is we found that we started 2 years ago was having Christine Perry as our labor relations assistant. What she does is go arranges meetings at with our different groups, and they meet monthly, maybe quarterly, depends on what the bargaining unit wants. And she attends these meetings and makes sure that the members are up to date on what's going on, and the members can provide feedback. And then she writes a report at the end of the meeting, which goes to the labor representatives as well as our executive board. Just going through the documents on the front cover here, I just wrote a letter to you all, kind of talking about why we do what we do. I was a public employee myself. After leaving the military for 4 years, I got into public employment, worked with schools, worked with counties and cities, and retired, gosh, it's been almost as long as I've been doing this, 20 years ago after getting injured as a police officer, got injured in the line of duty. So my second love was representing those folks who serve our community. So that's my second career, so I started doing that. So I just tell you a little bit about how we get started, what we think about representing public employees. It's an honorable, public employment's an honorable service, and I think a lot of folks in the public, particularly in the political arena, have forgotten about that. And we're here to remind them. We have a page in here about presenting who UPEC is. We represent 4 bargaining units in Butte County. College police officers, or City of Oroville, mid-managers and confidential, and then we have 2 units right here in Butte County that we represent. We have a page in here that talks about what we're going to do if we're elected to be a representative. So those items are listed there for you to take a look at. One of the things that we've always done is have a plan. And we've done a 5-year plan, strategic plan, every 5 years. And our executive board and our staff and our members are brought together. We do a strategic plan on what are we going to do to better our local, provide better services. So we just finished our latest 5-year plan, and part of that includes moving more members from Butte County and further south into our local union. Obviously, what we would all love to have is one giant union to represent the entire North State to give us some leverage in Sacramento. So that's what we've been working toward over the years. We have probably some different opinions from other unions that are either in this election fight, so to speak. So we've provided some insights as to what we believe would be good for Butte County. So I think when you're looking at, what's the difference between the different unions, we have a different agenda than one of the other unions. We also want our folks to understand there's two ways to get what you want, and that's either with political power or you've got to do a job action. And for years, Butte County has, I'm going to call it, been stagnant. We've been moving Shasta County, for instance, forward. Better contributions from the county for the medical plans and other counties. And for the life of us, we don't understand why Butte County is so far behind. But it's going to take the strength of all of our members, all of everyone else's members, to stand up and do something about it. And as we've been demonstrating for the last few months, our group of 120 skilled trades workers have decided that they're drawing a line in the sand. And we're not going to take the same old crap the Board of Supervisors dishes up. And the only way that any of us are going to do better is to stand up and fight. And we're going to be asking for everyone's support for that low bargaining unit of 120 folks to help push this so that the county starts looking at the employees better and starts putting more money into your pockets, and instead of taking it away and seeing your check reduced every year instead of increased every year. So that can only happen with you folks. You're the union. We're staff. We do what you tell us. We work for you. You pay our salaries. And all we can do is advise you what your options are. But ultimately, you guys are the union. And, you've got to select a union that's got leadership, has vision, and can move you forward. Again, we described in our documents we gave out about full service representation and what we call our layers of representation. We've listed our representatives that come out and do the servicing and a little bit about their education and background. And we're a very democratic union, almost to, it's painfully democratic sometimes. The members make the decisions, we give you the options, and the members make those types of decisions. So with that, there is some other documents in there, but if you would take a look at those. And, we invited Robin from the Skilled Trades Unit just to give a member's perspective on Butte County and the current fight that they're doing.
Again, I'm Robin, with the Public Works Skilled Trade Unit. I work out at the landfill, so if you guys go out there, I'll see you. So I've been with the county 8 years, February. I used to be part of BCEA, and then we switched over to UPEC last summer. And they represent us very well. If we want a meeting next week, they'll do their best to do a meeting. If we want to strike, they'll support us, get us all the background that we ever wanted, make sure we won't have any problems with our employees, supervisors, and we had no problems with that 2-day strike that we had. We made the supervisors mad, but we proved their point. Health insurance. With the rates going up every year, the county isn't keeping up. Personally, for me, for two, my health insurance since 2011 has gone 508% up. And they're not keeping up. They gave us, what, a $50 increase last year in 2014? So it's not enough. That's why we're drawing our line in the sand. We're going to fight it. We want more money for health insurance and salaries. So, if you could, vote for us. They're a great group to work with. They're really fun. They'll do anything for you. I call them anytime, day or night. They always respond, 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever. So it's a good group, so consider them. They're really good. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me from here? I prefer to sit down. Again, my name is Dave Hawley. I'm the principal officer of the local. I've I've been around 25 years, I'm up for election every 3 years, so I'm fully accountable to my membership. Just as far as my background, I come out of, I've got a degree in business, a degree in finance, and I became a Teamster in 1987. I needed a good job with health and welfare that I could afford and a pension, so I went to work in a warehouse in Reading in 1987, became a job steward. I got on the negotiating committee, and in 1990 went to work for the local, and I've been there ever since. The Teamsters, as far as our international, and I'm also, my family is public employees. My wife works at a school district. My daughter is director of HR for a school district on the other side of the table, and my son works for a school district. Both my son and daughter went to Chico State on a 7-year Dad Pays program, which allowed me to buy my son a house 3 times. So I understand public employees. I live with them. I understand what you're up against. I also am an international rep with our international. I am a joint council, the secretary treasurer of our joint council, which is about 100,000 members north of the Bay Area north. I also am a trustee on our health plan, as well as our Western Conference Teamsters pension plan, which is a $30 billion plan. My forte kind of is benefits, kind of known as the guy they go to in Northern California for benefits, just because I'm deeply involved in it, and I'm on the inside with the trust funds. We are part of the Teamsters International Union, 1.4 million members strong, 500 locals throughout the country. Our local covers everything north of Sacramento, 15 counties. We have Local 856 in the Bay Area that is almost 100% public employees. They are currently decertifying Unit 1 or Local Union 1 down in Contra Costa County. That election will be, I believe, the first week of January or February. They'll be counting the ballots. We have no doubt we're going to win that election. We've also decertified Local 1 in a couple of other spots in Walnut Creek and a few other units. That's resulted in higher health and welfare contributions by the employer that Local 1 said that they couldn't get. We got them after the elections. So we have a proven track record of picking up the pieces that Local 1 has left you with, which is not good. They made some serious errors in the last negotiations. They went past the expiration date, past January 1st when the PERS rates went up. They signed a contract going 2 and 3 and 4 months past that. So you were stuck with all the PERS increases, 12 to 22%, with 2015 caps. Fatal error. That contract was set up to be a disaster, which it was. We're prepared to pick the pieces up with our Teamsters plan, which I'll go into. We represent 230,000 employees in California alone out of that 1.4 million nationally. Out of that, we have about 35,000 public employees in California. We have the #1 lobbyist in Sacramento. The Joint Council has a political action person. His name is Doug Block that helps us. He works for our Joint Council for the locals north of Sacramento. So when we have issues and we want to take on the Board of Supervisors, we want to get people elected, we have the resources. We have one of the largest PACs in the country, as well as our California Teamsters Public Affairs Council. So we're really dialed into the politics. Our local union has the highest, out of all of our joint council, has the highest voter registration out of any local union, because that's how you affect your employer, which is the Board of Supervisors in this case. So we know how to get that job done. You're going to have to do that if you want some changes in Butte County, and we're prepared to help you. We just recently went into an agreement in San Bernardino County for 11,000 more county employees in San Bernardino County that are now being represented by the Teamsters, as well as about 15,000 employees in Nevada, Clark County. These two campaigns are just in the last 6 months, so we're aggressively organizing more public employees. Our local has represented public employees. We've been around since 1913. We had our 100-year anniversary a few years back. This local union, not the international, so our local's been chartered since 1913. We have several public employee units, quite a few actually. I, quite frankly, organized most of those and repped most of those and did the contract negotiations for most of those, although Kim is aboard now. Kim came out of dispatch out of Shascom. She was a public employee. Got to know me by being on the negotiating committee. And we brought her aboard a year or so ago, and she's doing an awesome job. I have three other business agents out of the office, as well as full-time staff. The only thing I can say about BCEA and Local 1 is we did invite them. Their chair's right over there. We also invited Local 39, stationary engineers, but it appears that they may have lost interest or didn't want to put the resources towards the campaign because they seem to have disappeared. With that, the only thing I can tell you is what we really have to offer you is we do have layers of representation. Also, we assign specific folks to a bargaining unit. I will be your lead negotiator for your bargaining unit. I will be your lead business agent. Some folks have started rumors that I'm retiring. That's not true. My wife won't let me. She continues to work at the school district and she doesn't want to retire for 4 or 5 years, so I'm committed to you, to this local, to getting your first Teamster contract, and more importantly, to fixing your health and welfare problem. Our local union is the only union in Northern California that has a health and welfare option. I participated in Shasta County's forums where they get all the unions together, as well as Steve was there a few times. And we've looked at the ESAC, all the different, I know there's that schools trust fund, I've looked at that. That doesn't look like a good deal. There really are no other options out there. And one of the reasons that we have the better option is we are not just a public employees local. We also represent the private sector. In fact, the majority of our union is private sector. Doesn't mean we can't represent public employees, but you get the advantage of a well-rounded business rep that not only deals with public sector, but private sector. So we get the experience of all those negotiations, all the nasty employers out there that are in the private sector that you generally don't have in the public sector. So I've pretty much seen everything out there, from UPS, Cisco Foods, some big, bad employers. Public employers really aren't big and bad, they just don't want to do anything. And they don't want to give you anything. But they're not necessarily nasty about it, they just sit there and say they're not going to give you anything. The biggest problem you have in this unit is you have multiple bargaining units at Butte County. 2 of them have already settled for 2%. The chances of you getting more than 2% on the salary schedule are not great. Because if the supervisor unit settled for 2%, they're not going to give you 5% right under them and get that compaction. It's just not going to happen. You either have to be the lead dog and get the first increase and then let them follow, or you have to be imaginative and come up with some other ways to get you money. The only other way that I can see to get you money is either like cert pays or special duty pays. We've talked to some mental health workers that are on call all the time. That's an issue that can be addressed. Get them some extra money for being out there for 6-8 hours during the night and having to come back to work. There's a lot of different opportunities to get extra money that is only attributed to your bargaining units. The only other relief valve is health and welfare. And I mean, that's just a fact. And we are the only union that has that option. You get the advantage of being in a trust that has private employers in it. One of the biggest is UPS. Has a whole bunch of part-timers that hardly use a plan. They all get into our mix. We have 30,000 lives we cover. I'm a trustee on this plan. We put a plan together for you. I actually ramrodded it with our consultants. It's in our packet. Direct comparison with PERS Select is the only one I picked their cheapest plan, PERS Select. Some of you being the HMO or PERS Choice, or out-of-pocket maxes or less. Be glad to go through that in detail at some point if you need that. But we are really the only union that has that opportunity to put some money back in your paycheck, that we won't be compared with a supervisory unit, trades and skilled trades, or anybody else. And I have never had a problem with an employer having them agree to a Teamster plan. There's no strings attached, no upfront money. You can leave whenever you want, you can come whenever you want. And we Since we're self-insured and we pay our own bills, our rates are a lot less, and again, our mix of employees is a lot better, and there's no reason why Butte County wouldn't want to participate in it. There's no unfunded liability that they have to deal with. Again, they can come and go as we wish, and we didn't have a problem in Shasta County. I got the county administrator in the negotiations, explained our plan to him, and he said, that's the most imaginative plan anybody's ever put on the table. I got it into my bargaining, I was able to bargain it. I was able to get the county to actually front load a high deductible plan, which I'm not even talking about anymore. I've got a no deductible plan now. And for a county to pick up $2,500 for families and $1,200 for single folks is huge. My Shasta County employees now take nothing out of pocket for their premium, both for actives and retirees. So pretty much that's what we can do for you. I'm committed to this unit. We do have a legacy plan in our local. Tim's coming along. We'll be hiring other folks for Butte County when we win these 2 elections, and we're excited about representing you.
Are we okay with 2 each and then rotating the answers first? Sure. Okay, just making sure everybody agrees. Okay, so now we'll open it up to questions. We'll take turns on who answers first, and then each side will get 2 minutes to respond. So, questions? Yes?
Do you have any female agents on your staff?
Do you have any agents on your staff?
Female.
Female agents on your staff. Teamsters, you guys can start this time.
All right.
Right here. I'm Kimberly Corelli. I am a business agent for Teamsters 137. Like Dave said, I was a public sector employee for 20 years, so I'm quite familiar with the challenges that you face. I lived that life for a very long time, and I relate to it well. I'm a business agent for school districts, police department, dispatch centers, fire departments, a public hospital. Public sector is all that I'm involved with right now. I just came from a 4-day training put on by the International at a local in Oakland, where that is all that they do is public sector representation. So for 4 days, I had intense training from what I think are the best professionals in this business. So
We have a history of having women involved in our local. We've had the president of our locals, she's not with us anymore, but she was a woman. De'Arrow Smith, who was our office manager when I came on board, was my right-hand person in the office. Actually promoted her to a business agent. She retired as a business agent. We've had other female board members, and then Kim came along, and she's done a great job. So we're well diversified local.
I think our local is equally committed to gender equality in terms of job opportunities. We have female agents, we have female board members that our executive board gives policy direction to the staff in the local. So I think both unions handle that issue the same way. By the way, this was touted as a debate. I really see it as more of a friendly competition. I mean, as Dave made reference to, we work the same areas. We work on joint projects together, whether it's health and welfare or contract campaigns or political action. So laborers and the Teamsters work together on representational issues. And I don't think you're going to find either side of our 2 unions bad-mouthing the other, because we respect each other. We both think we do a reasonably good job. But this is all about choice for you guys in terms of who you want to do your work. So one of the ideas we've been touting since we were invited by employees to come and solicit their interest is more choice is the better, and see how the work's done, who does it, and then you guys can decide who you want to represent you. With respect to the health and welfare issue, I think you need to be careful about picking a union for representation based on a benefit program. And I say that having over the years have had benefit programs to offer our members too, and competed with unions who had benefit programs, whether it's a pension fund or a health and welfare fund. So all I can say about that is be careful with your choices. The county does have a countywide all labor organizations committee going on right now, sponsored by your CEO, and they're meeting monthly, interviewing all the different options. And so you guys will have to decide what plan you want, but if you lock into a union for health insurance, you're also locking in for representation purposes, no matter what happens
That's
down the
2
road.
minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So moving forward, let's keep it a little bit more on the scope of the question. Yes?
Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, you guys have a plan you can offer us as soon as we get out of this mess with BCEA, because if we're locked into that healthcare till 17. You guys have options, right? I'm not hearing options over here of other healthcare that is going to be offered to us except what I read in your thing, which is trying to negotiate for a percentage for them to pay as opposed to a flat rate, which we've been trying to do forever. So is that accurate? Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, our local is not bringing a health plan to Butte County and saying, here's a union plan. What we would do is help look at all the options that are available. And that's what we do in terms of negotiating.
So you help look at that, so that's
Yes.
not, there's nothing really going on right now, but you guys have a plan that we could jump to as soon as we're out of this current mess.
Well,
Is that right?
you're locked in. There's the open period when PERS announces their rates in around June, usually mid-June.
Right.
There's a 60-day open period where you have to notify PERS, and it's irrevocable, so it's something you really got to think about. So you notify PERS that you're pulling out, and it will become effective January 1st of 2017. As far as, I'm not asking you to vote for us just for our health and welfare. All I'm telling you is I got an extra tool in my toolbox when I go to negotiations. Steve's a great representative. I think he has the same respect for me. We've been at the table basically together in joint forums with Shasta County. He's fought for his members to have higher percentages paid in Shasta County, which is actually helping me because I base what they pay on Teamsters on what the county pays on everybody else, and then I put it onto our Teamster rates, which equated to my members take nothing out of pocket in Shasta County, and the rest of the county takes $65 on the single and $616 for the family. Teamsters pay nothing and retirees pay nothing. So, but we're not just about health and welfare, we are about representation. We just got that little extra kick at the table, which is more money.
If I could just, on your comment, I think the primary problem with health and wealth, with medical insurance in Butte County is the formula that the county, how much money the county pays for your premium. I mean, review the plans, find a plan you all like. The county has to give that notice, by the way. So you have to have an agreement with the county before that window for the county to pass a resolution and send that notice to PERS. So you have to have that all lined up and done in time to change plans, drop out of PERS, medical January 1. Could happen, be difficult, but could happen for any of these options. I mean, that is a very strict requirement. The bigger problem in Butte County is what does the county pay for your premium? If you find another plan you like and the county still is not going to pay a penny more next time the increase goes up, that's coming out of your check again. So the fight we've centered on is who pays what piece of the premium. And we are committed, and the skilled trades unit is the point of the spear here for everybody else on this fight. We're going to be asking you guys to join that fight. We have a meeting next week on whether to strike again. We're going to be asking for county employees to help fund for them to be off because you don't get paid during the strike, so that we can fight that fight for everybody. But you've got to get back to a percentage-based formula, no matter what plan you're in, so that when the rate goes up $100, the county pays 80, you pay 20, or whatever you work out. But what they have everybody on right now isn't working for you guys. So that's the fight that we're focused on.
Yes?
Yeah, but people stand up when they get their questions here.
Yeah, I'll try to repeat that. Yeah.
What do the union dues? We know what on our paycheck, we see our union dues that we have to pay. What do we have to pay?
$43.50 flat rate per month, be paid bi-weekly, and that rate is determined by our local membership. The dues are set by our local membership. We've talked about doing an hourly or percentage based, and so far our members have wanted to keep it as a flat rate, $43.50.
Our dues are, number one, your initiation fee is waived on new bargaining units, so we don't charge an initiation fee. The second issue I've got are your dues rates for this unit will be 2 times your hourly wage rate, which compared to a flat rate, the lower wage earners pay less and the higher wage earners pay more. And since it's automatically indexed, we don't have to go back to you for a wage increase. I mean, if you get a $1 an hour raise, it costs you $2 a month in dues, and you get $173 in your paycheck. So it's a pretty good trade-off. So we don't have to keep going back to you for dues increases. It's indexed.
I have a question since we're talking about dues. So I just heard UPEC saying that you want other employees to help with like a GO-ME fund to help the strike.
We're talking about it.
Okay. So with the Teamsters, it's my understanding that in your dues, you also, part of those dues goes to a strike fund, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So 10 times your hourly or your dues rate per week.
Yeah, we don't have a strike fund set up to use local-wide. The due structure is set up to provide representation. What we help do with units that want to do a job action as part of a bargaining strategy is do a supplemental dues for them. So for example, Shasta County members, where we have the majority of all Shasta County employees are in UPEC, tax themselves on the twice-a-year paychecks where there's no withholdings, $10, and they've accumulated $110,000 into their job action fund that we'll be able to use this year bargaining, which we're preparing for right now. So when we have a new unit like the skilled trades unit is new, they haven't had the opportunity to pay dues to accumulate those funds. So that's why we're talking about the idea of maybe creatively asking those other employees yourselves who may be affected by the campaign we're doing with our labor dispute, maybe to help out. We haven't actually decided to do that yet. We have a meeting next Thursday night with that unit to talk about it.
Sir in the back, or sorry, behind you. Sorry.
Well, my name's Roger Fuentes. I work for the skilled trades on the UPEC. I'm here just for information. My question is, the larger numbers, the general service, are going to be voting on this. They're going to outnumber the 120. Just seems common sense. Whatever they vote, we're going into.
Yeah.
Is that a correct statement?
No, that wouldn't be the
Is that a
case,
correct statement?
because each bargaining unit makes its own decision about what to bargain for and what to accept. What we try and do, and what we encourage to do, where we have multiple units and one employer, which we already do in Butte County, because we have the professional employees and the skilled trades, is to coordinate our bargaining efforts on matters of joint concern, such as the health insurance formula. I have made it clear for a long time, and it's in this document too, if you get a chance to read it, take extras to your work sites, please, that success in that effort is going to require all the groups to work together, in my opinion. That to change the formula back to a percentage-based formula is going to take political action, which is a slow process, we need to do it, or job action. And taking a 120 employee unit out on a strike to force that issue hasn't worked yet. We're not giving up, but it hasn't worked yet. But if we had 1,200 employees off for a few days on that issue, we'd be in a lot better shape. So whether it's UPEC or the Teamsters, or you keep with BCEA, whoever is involved for the different unions, we need to all work together on this issue. And then my crystal ball is, when we get all the units lined up at the same time to do a job action, we would have instant power on that issue. Till then, it's a struggle. But the question is, would a bigger unit outvote and decide what happens with a smaller unit? No. Each unit decides their own destiny, if it's done properly.
Well, this health and welfare, I mean, you folks have a problem right now. You have 2 bargaining units that have already settled. They're not going to get whipsawed between bargaining units. You have a short-term problem, which is you just picked up a 12 to 22% increase out of your pocket. That has to be fixed. If I went into bargaining right now with the county, I would probably go ahead and settle for a 1-year contract, because it's only going to be good till the end of this year. Get into our health and welfare plan guarantee, get that money back in your pocket, take the 2% increase, raise your cap. I mean, even if we didn't raise the cap, I could save you just getting into our plan from $80 to, on the family side, $500 a month. Okay, so that would solve your short-term problem. Get them out of your pocket, get the cap increase, get whatever wage increase you can get for the first year, and then the long-term thing, just like Steve said, is politics. got to turn that board of supervisors a little bit to free up some money for you. But look at in this business, when you're in multiple bargaining units, you're either the leader or you're the follower, because they're not going to allow compaction of their salary schedules based on general wage increases. So you have to come up with ways to get money into your pocket outside of a general wage increase, or when you get to the second year of the contract, you need to be the leader and try to get as much money as you can and let the rest follow.
We adamantly disagree with the idea that as soon as one unit settles, it sets a pattern that can't be changed by the other units that follow. I have personally negotiated better deals for groups that follow somebody else who's already settled many, many times. It does make it harder. It becomes a harder nut to crack, but it absolutely can be done.
Has that happened in Butte County?
Has it happened in Butte County, you think?
No.
Different units have gotten different deals in Butte County, absolutely. over the
But if
years.
someone's settled for something, then the next one comes.
Absolutely they have. Just look at the PSA as getting a better deal in Butte County. Absolutely has.
I thought it was a trade-off between wages and caps. I saw that difference in the thing, but you know, it can happen. I mean, you can get more money, but ultimately they're going to even out. I mean, Steve and I have been bargaining in Shasta County since 1998, I think, is when I picked up my first unit.
83.
And you in 83. Since 1998, no bargaining unit in Shasta County has ever got more than another bargaining unit. They may have been staggered. I staggered mine past 2008. Well, DSA, I mean, you got to eliminate the cops. You know, I mean, a lot of times they'll get more money just for retention and stuff. When you're talking about the general units, the social services units, the trades units, and the last 12 years anyway, since 1998, I've looked at the increases. They've been almost exactly the same. They've been staggered a little bit. Again, the only advantage that we have is in our health plan at Shasta County.
Can I
Go ahead.
follow up?
Sorry.
So we've heard the Teamsters healthcare plan. That seems awesome. Healthcare is one of my main concerns. I don't have healthcare right now for this year because I refuse to pay the increased rates. It's cheaper for me to pay the penalty, and I'm a healthy person, so I'll just pay the penalty at the end of the year. But you guys have been looking into options for healthcare. I believe Cara informed me that you guys have been looking since about last year. With this BSSP plan, the Butte School Self-Funded Plan, I'd like you guys to explain that to us and how that is a better option right now that you guys are looking into versus the Teamsters plan.
Yeah, we're not here to say that that's a better option. I copied that last night off the web just so you could see and understand the point that the county has an active committee meeting monthly looking at all options. That's just one of the options. So the only point that bringing that plan is to show is that there's an ongoing effort to look at options right now. That, you know, with all BCAs there, all the labor organizations meet monthly, and they've interviewed PERS, they've interviewed this group, they're interviewing a series of entities. And that's an appropriate thing to do. And if something comes out of that, cool, it'll be referred back to you guys for decision.
Can you explain it?
I'll tell you. I've looked at the plan. I mean, I've got the report, I looked at the plan. It's got some fatal errors in it. You can't opt out. If you opt out, they make the county pay the lowest rate that they offer, so they don't allow you to opt out. They still make the county pay, so there goes your in lieu of money. They want 2 months, I think they said they wanted 2 months worth of premiums up front. They want a 10% guaranteed rate increase the second year. I mean, this is just looking at the thing in about 3 minutes. What you'd be doing is jumping out of the fry pan and into the fire. Now you're into another big group of public employees that are high users that, you know, you've got the same problem. They got some significant issues with that plan. I mean, it's probably good for their school district, and the only thing that they have, I have personally turned every one of my school districts from those JPAs, that's a joint powers agreement plan. They have 3 of them in Shasta County also. I have 12 school districts. Every one of them is in a Teamster plan right now, taking significantly less money out of their pocket. As far as I'm concerned, that's not an option. There really are no other options out there for public employees. employees if you go to another public employees plan.
Teamsters plans don't go up like the ones.
Well, we have better experience. We have younger lives. We have private sector employers in it. We're self-insured. It's only for Northern California. You are being rated in PERS right now because you're in a high-use area versus Sacramento. We're regionally rated, then LA, then the Bay Area. I compete with PERS all the time. I get it. I have put on the table our Teamsters plan in every one of our bargaining sessions. When I'm already in the plan and the employer goes after it, I said, well, here's the plan. If you can beat it or meet it for less money, I'll move. I have never had to move out of the Teamsters plan. Plus, we cover our retirees at a lot less than PERS covers them.
I would maintain that the biggest problem we have here is the lack of a formula of cost sharing. If I asked you guys, you don't have to answer out loud, but if the county was still paying 80%, 80-20 split on the formula for your PERS, we would have this big problem with PERS. I mean, PERS is a good, viable, and it is a self-funded plan also. Health insurance plan. It just doesn't work for you when you can't afford it. So we need to negotiate that the county pays more money towards the premium. If the county was paying the lion's share of the premium, I don't think you'd be in a urgent mood to find alternative coverage. And if you don't change that formula, I don't care if you go to the Teamsters or the schools or other plans, you're going to have the same problem as the rates go up. It's going to come out of your checks.
20% of your premium under CalPERS, if you got a family, is over $400 a month. I don't think that's acceptable.
No.
Sir?
I guess kind of a two-point question. So what we've been told is the options on medical are going to cost us another 15% at least coming up for the next 3 years. And that's from everyone that we've been informed that the insurances that they're looking at. We've got a guy that met at the table with the CAO and some of the medical people, and they're saying our insurance is going to go up anyway, 15%, no matter who covers that. That's what the insurers are saying. And I'm asking, do you think, how will you offset those the Teamsters offset those kind of increases? And the other one would be the 80-20 thing. If the county's not going to pay any more now, we have to negotiate to get them at an 80-20, and your policy is already where it's at, and you've already got the numbers. That's one less thing that would have to be negotiated, correct?
No.
You're going in there with no increase to the county with what you're offering.
It wouldn't. The advantage that you have is, like I said, I can move your into Teamster plan right now and put that money back in your pocket. It wouldn't erode any type of wage increase that the county might be offering. I mean, employers look like, look, I got 3%, I got 4%, I got 5% that I can offer you. They look at it behind closed doors. We're going to carve that money up in health and welfare, pension, wages. So if you take one of those variables off the table and that we're going to save money on that, you can concentrate on the wages and other areas of your contracts. So, I mean, that's the advantage as far as why is the Teamsters plan cheaper. We're self-insured. Trustees aren't paid. I'm a trustee, one of the 6 trustees. I'm not paid for doing that job. We collect our money. We pay our bills. We have stop-loss insurance. We're very active in preventative care. We tailor our plan to our members. Sleep apnea has been a big deal for our members in the trucking industry. We now cover that 100% from in-home study, your in-home monitoring device initially, because when you go get your DOT physical, which probably doesn't apply to the general unit and the other, but the other units, you get your DOT physical. If you meet a certain criteria, you have to get a sleep apnea test. Well, we not just do that for our truck drivers, but we do it for our entire membership. So we have the ability to change our plan based on our members' needs. None of these other plans do that.
And there was a second part to that, though, that was a very important part. Should our unit, the bigger unit, decide to go with the Teamsters, would they need the other 125 from our unit, which is skilled trades, to go with your insurance? Would the county have to have?
Right now, as I understand it, each bargaining unit can pull out separately. In fact, that's in that study that they just put out, that they have individual withdrawals by bargaining unit. So, quite frankly, Teamsters plan are for Teamsters. I have actually just one unit in our whole entire trust fund where we cover non-Teamsters in a bargaining unit, which Steve represents at the City of Anderson, the police department, and that just kind of grandfathered in. That may change. I may be able to get that changed. But right now, you do not have access to a Teamsters plan unless you're affiliated with the Teamsters.
So the insurance can be done unit by unit in the county, under what the county signed with PERS. So you can move one unit into a different plan, whether it's a Teamsters plan or some other plan. But you said something about the 80-20. I want to make it real clear. Changing the cost sharing form with the county is a problem regardless of which plan. You know, if you guys vote for the Teamsters and negotiate getting the Teamsters health insurance, you still got to deal with the county's formula at the bargaining table for future increases.
Yes, my name is Brent Crawford. I've been a county employee for almost 5 years, currently in the general unit. And my question is that well, first of all, before I get to my question, I want to thank both of you groups for showing up. I think it shows your commitment to being interested in taking us on versus the groups who have decided.
At least we want you guys, right?
Absence speaks volumes. But to get to the question, one of the core elements to a union, in my view, is strength in numbers, because the more of us that are interconnected, the more we do together, the stronger we are. That being said, I know some of the groups that have shown some level of interest have only focused on either the social workers unit or the general unit and haven't really necessarily been committed to both, or haven't gotten the signatures from both units or whatever the case may be. Are both of these groups in a position right now to where they're as settled as they can be as far as having signatures and having all the paperwork in order for both units going forward, or is there still ambiguity there?
The UPEC has turned in Teamsters have filed for both units. We were like the last couple to the dance. We didn't get a call till fall that there was an organizing effort going on with employees looking at BCEA maybe being replaced. And as soon as we did, we started engaging in expressing our interest. Since then, we've successfully gotten enough signatures for the social services workers unit and have filed. So as it stands right now, when the election ballot goes out, unless another union steps forward, I don't think there is, it's going to be BCEA, Teamsters, UPEC, and no rep as 4 choices on the social workers unit. UPEC is ongoing its campaign to attempt to gather signatures if there's enough interest from the general unit employees to get on the ballot for the general unit. We don't have enough yet, or we would have already filed. And there's some time frame still involved for that opportunity. Right. So one of the things we're doing with the general unit is saying, hey, if you guys want to have choice, we need to have that 30% threshold so we can get on the ballot, and then we can, argue it out and put it out there as a choice.
And how
much time?
How close are you to having that minimum threshold?
We're about 70 signatures away. You have to have 30% of the bargaining unit signed. And so there's right now, there's different windows. The month of January was decided by the county as a window. Well, that's come and gone now. But when Dave filed as the first other union to file interest, that created a 30-day window for other unions to participate. So now we have more time. And then the other window that most people don't know about is the day an MOU expires, that unit, so general unit I think expires February 11th to 12th. If BCEA doesn't have a new contract in place to butt up to that, no contract time is an open window. So we're going to continue forward with expressing our interest and asking general unit employees if they want to have choice on the ballot, sign a petition for us so we get on it, because we can file at any point along the way. The signatures are good for 12 months.
You're only a few tacos and a raffle away from getting enough signatures. about our filing on both units. Not only have we filed on both units, but we have created an infrastructure within Butte County already with our organizing committees. And we have four full-time organizers on the ground. We have our committees set up. We've evaluated our people. We were going to use that that structure that we've created when we win this election to move forward into contract negotiations. The other thing you got to understand is if one unit doesn't win it by 50% plus one of the people that vote, there's a runoff. That could be dangerous to your health and welfare, and that could put off to another election, which gives us a shorter time frame to try to get out of hers. I still think we could do it on 2 elections, but if you really want to get out of your health and welfare, you might want to swing all your votes one way.
I would like to know how you would represent us differently and better than Local 1 has in the past.
They already are.
Already did.
Answer a lot of these questions, but I would still like to just, we would do this, and this.
Yeah.
Wait, it's not your turn.
Oh, is that for Dave?
No.
First?
Well,
He just told me.
I think, Steve went through their layers of representation. I mean, teachers do the same thing. I mean, we also already set up our organizing committee. We already have folks in almost every unit for communication purposes. We'll use that same method in contract negotiations. We're also going to start, we always have a voter registration campaign going, and it looks like we have 2 viable candidates for the Board of Supervisors in 2 different districts that we're going to be supporting. So we have with our PAC and our in our Titan system at our local, we can pull our registered voters out by zip code. So I can target all of our UPS folks in town, all of our Cisco folks, our bread drivers, our laundry drivers, all the other people that live within the jurisdictions of these Board of Supervisors that we need to get elected. So we'll start a political campaign to try to get some ears on the Board of Supervisors that will at least listen to your concerns. And then the rest of the representation stuff, I think Steve and I and UPEC have pretty similar styles. I mean, you got a problem, you find out what your problem is, find out what you do on the job, get an education, and fix it, and take it through the steps.
Yeah, I can't speak to what BCEA has done or not done. You guys know that. I don't work with them. What we set up in an area is first of all, not direct representation, but for electing and unelecting politicians is a countywide council. We have a council in Shasta County that is kind of like the image of what we would want to do here in Butte County, which is inviting all the different public sector organizations, teachers, county, city, to all work together, to band together to have an effect on electing city council members, boards of supervisors. We have an established track record in Shasta County of doing that. We haven't had enough members in Butte County to be successful putting that together. We talked about it. I asked Rudy to participate years ago to get that going. I never really got anywhere. So that would be our goal for political action. And all the big unions have the same computerized systems for reaching out to their members and having voter registration in effect. The question was about representation. We don't require stewards to represent employees, to volunteer to be stewards to represent. We have professional paid staff to handle any work-related issue. We ask for stewards to be our eyes and ears and help us understand what's going on in the areas. We don't expect members to come to, say, a monthly member meeting that doesn't work very well in the county system. It works in a little city where everybody works together. When you have a geographically dispersed workforce like you have here in Butte County, we do the same thing we do in Shasta County and Glenn County is we set up site meetings and we go to where the members are to gather information and to work for them. But as I said earlier, we have professional staff for the low levels of individual cases, negotiators to do contract negotiations, and attorneys to handle evidentiary hearings. So there's this layer concept. And I think both international unions pretty much handle that kind of stuff the same way.
I just want to, as far as our stewards, we have a little different philosophy. We empower our stewards to take care of problems on the job. We back them up. We're there. If we have to be there, we will be there. But when you empower your stewards to take care of business, that is a huge plus in the workplace, because if they don't get it done and they're righteous in what they're doing, and I got to come in and fix it, Generally, the employer doesn't like that. So when we empower our stewards, they get respect on the job, they become leaders, and we do allow them to handle certain areas, going to represent our members in wine garden, for the wine garden rights, to be a witness. We train them to do that. If they're uncomfortable doing that, they can call the local, or there's going to be a local BA down here anyway. We've already got an office, and we'll have a local BA down here. They will be available at any time to do it, but if a steward thinks they can handle it, and they're trained and they know what they're doing, that's a huge plus for the entire bargaining unit.
Yeah, we have a difference of opinion about that. We found that having employee stewards do actual representation for our public sector groups doesn't work very well. And a lot of employees don't want to have their co-workers knowing their business. So we started out that way. We did lots of steward training and employee rights training for that purpose to empower the stewards, and we found it just didn't work. So we set up the dues to have staff handle low-level issues.
We're very clear with our stewards that if it's a personal issue and you don't want to go through a steward, you call me directly at the office. Nobody else is going to know what's going on with your job. But I'm telling you, if you have good, strong, militant people on the job that are taking care of issues, the county looks at you differently. You're not just this outside person coming in and take care of it. This is their employees that are sticking up and standing up to the employer.
Okay, if we have more questions about stewards, we can ask them.
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Connie.
I'm Connie, and I can say as a shop steward for BCEA for many years, it's actually right. You are strong, you go in there. I've stood up to my supervisor for my coworkers. And if you go in, you're strong, the supervisor will back down from you. There's lots of times that I have gone in and said, look, this is beyond what I can do. We're going to stop this meeting. We're going to bring in the big guns. And that's the way it works. Having a shop steward there, because as you all know, if you've ever been called in, I have, you want somebody there. Your supervisor saying, I need you here in the next 5 minutes. I need you here in the next hour to meet with me in that room. You can't wait for somebody to come down from Reading.
That's right.
You can't wait for somebody to come down from Sacramento.
Yeah,
you
you can.
need a shop steward there that can walk in and say, I know what you can say to this employee. You can't say that to that employee, we're done. So I agree that Teamsters are right, you need shop stewards.
Okay, so moving forward, let's keep it to questions, please. Yes.
So I'd like to know from UPEC, is there local representation here in Butte County? Or UPEC?
Yeah, and again, please, if you get a chance, read, we have a page on it now. So right now, we're servicing the 4 small groups we have in Butte County from farther afield, not by somebody living in Butte County. Our intent is if either of the 2 units that are looking at a different choice elect UPEC, that we would put local representative to be here and live in the community. And we would want to have a leadership committee of employees help us choose that person, because that's who would be working for you. And that's all spelled out in the document.
As far as the Teamsters, we're committed to having somebody down here. In fact, we've already proven it when we started this campaign. I hired Martin, came out of your bargaining unit, because he knows what your issues are. He was a steward or on some of the committees and stuff. I recruited him. He actually referred, was the first contact with our local. We've opened an office already. We will keep an office down here, and we will have a resident business agent down here. Even one unit will be able to, even if we only got the smaller unit, the social services unit, we will be able to do that, because we also represent many other employees in Butte County to keep one person busy, and you'll have a resident BA down here.
Sounds like both unions have put a local person on the ground.
Yep.
Speaking of public and private sectors, who do you specifically represent in the public sector?
Me?
Both.
Yeah, I'll go first. I've got 12 school districts, City of Anderson, City of Marysville, City of Eureka, City of Mount Shasta, Lake Shastina. We just organized City of Mount Shasta. We just organized, brought them onto the Teamsters plan January 1, hit that PERS window, got the job done. We have a group of highly professional employees at Seneca Hospital in Chester, which are public employees, from RNs to LVNs, to dietary, the whole gamut. We have irrigation districts, police department, 2 fire departments. We have City of Shasta Lake. We have irrigation districts, which are public employees, all of which are either under, most of them are under Myers-Brown, which is the same set of laws that govern how you operate and how representation takes effect. So, but I think the other thing is, having the experience in the private sector is a huge plus for at the bargaining table, because we see all those other things. We have all those other challenges in the private sector that the public sector doesn't have. We take that expertise and that experience and apply it to the public sector. So we're a little more well-rounded than an exclusive public employees union.
We've represented private sector groups in the past. We have the executive board that runs local 792, which is employees elected every 3 years, made a deliberate decision to focus only on public sector employees. We found that we ran into conflicts sometimes with our own internationals, locals that were construction workers, where they would have a policy of trying to get a city or county to contract out, maintenance or service. And so we had this internal fighting with our own union over who gets to do the work. So our local deliberately decided to represent only, focus only on public sector. So, Dave's touting that public sector as a strength. We see it as a problem, because that has been our experience. In terms of who we represent, and I may need help here off the top of my head, Siskiyou County Deputy Sheriff's Association, City of Wairika employees, all the employees in Modoc County, the general employees, all the employees in the City of Altoona, a couple bargaining units, Shasta County, 1,000 employee general unit, 160 employee professional employees unit, a unit of power plant operators in the City of Reading, all of Trinity County, the general unit, the mid-management confidential unit, the Deputy Sheriff's Association, the probation department, the electric utility district in Weaverville. Moving down, Red Bluff Fire Department, Butte County we talked about, Butte Community College POA, professional employees and skilled trades, the City of Oroville Mid-Management Association. Moving down into Glenn County, the general employees unit, the management confidential unit, the Deputy Sheriff's Association. Into the Bay Area, the Presidio Trust, the big park over there by the Golden Gate Bridge. We have those federal employees. We have Golden Gate National Parks employees, the cemetery, park, and all the parks in the area. City of Monterey, the whole entire general unit for the City of Monterey, City of Pacific Grove, City of Seaside, City of Carmel. Sacramento, we have a 300 employee IT bargaining unit, and so on and so forth. I don't think I hit all 60, but it'll give you a sense.
Well, just as a contrast, we're only one local union in Northern California. We represent, in California, 35,000 public employees. The ones that I mentioned are the ones that are represented by this local. We have a straight public sector local 856 in the Bay Area that has more members than any other public sector unit. We have a 911 in LA that has thousands of public sector members. So we have all of those resources that come together in joint councils and the international. We all help each other. Just because we're one local union doesn't mean we're out there on an island by ourselves.
And of course, we have the same, Local 261 in San Francisco represents all the City of San Francisco employees. And we have a local of 10,000 in Riverside, California, county, city workers in those areas, Pasadena, and some other smaller ones. So we're throughout California, probably have the same amount of public employees.
I think the more important question for you guys is who's going to do your work for you locally?
The guys at this table.
And sort that out and interview everybody. Right now, you don't have an option for the general unit unless we get some more signatures.
Our dues are increasing if we take on either representation. Can you guys please confirm when we would have to start paying those increased dues?
Well, the way it works is that the day an election is successful, the new union selected takes over and starts with no members. Membership is voluntary. So whichever union replaces BCEA would have to do a membership drive to have voluntary enrollment. That's how this starts. and you lose your agency shop, well, side note, Supreme Court may take it away from us anyway in June when they decide their case, but you have to bargain or locally enact by a ballot measure agency shop. So any new union starts with 0 members day one and then has to build up from there, if that makes sense.
Dues are voluntary until we have a contract, and if we get an agency shop. And with that Supreme Court decision that may come down, which may say that every unit is an open shop where you can choose to be a freeloader or not, take advantage of everything that we negotiate and everything that everybody else pays for, you're going to have to. And I think, again, if that happens, you're going to have some ties to your union. And I tell you, one of the biggest ties to your union, I hate to keep going back to it, is your health and welfare. So if your union's doing something for you and providing you with a service, providing you with a plan, if we have a complete open shop, you're going to need something to sell. Not only just representation, but why do I want to be a member of this union?
Would you have to be a member in order to get the health and welfare, the medical plan?
No, but it ties you to the health plan because you're providing a service where a union like yours is relying on PERS. You're going to be relying on the Teamsters to provide your health and welfare, which gives us a greater chance of keeping you as members.
I just want to make it real clear, you don't have to be a member to have any particular health plan.
If they changed the law that if they had an open shop and we didn't have to allow them to participate in our health plan, I would almost support that because they're basically freeloaders when they don't pay. They're going to pay, we're going to have to do all the work. People that are contributing, the resources are going to be less, and then this is another good point. You go with the Teamsters, we're not all public employees. Our funds aren't going to get completely cut like a complete public sector local could, in the blink of an eye, lose 30 to 40% of their membership. I may lose 30 to 40% of my public employees, but I still got all my private sector folks, because it's not going to apply to them, that are still providing income to the local, and obviously we don't segregate our money, so that will be advantage to the folks if we have to have an open shop. We don't have any open shops in our local. We don't as a policy, we're not going to take you on if everybody's not going to pay and everybody's not going to participate.
Our experience has been when the private sector members have to start helping to pay for the public sector members, it causes a huge problem in the organization. So we're trying to avoid that by having public sector only.
Okay, so gentleman all the way in the back.
So, one of the candidates for District 1 we're going to have this year is a member of the BCEA.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
One of the members who was running for District 1 this year, the Board of Supervisors, is a member of BCEA, but I think he would benefit any union that comes in. Are you guys willing to back him up, even though he's a member of BCEA?
Is that Tom Warner?
That would be him.
I've already had contacts with them. You know, we're talking to him. If he's I mean, I haven't talked specifically about his platform or anything else, but we've already talked to him. We're exploring. I mean, if we can get an ear on the Board of Supervisors, and he's pro-labor and he can help everybody else. If he was a former member of BCEA, I don't care. But we would let our members have the input into it. You know, we'd have meetings, have him come and address himself to the membership, and the membership would decide if they want to endorse him or not.
Yeah, we handle it the same way. Members decide such things.
Okay, yes.
If someone chooses not to be represented by your unions, currently BCA charges fair share for people who aren't represented. So they're still paying. Is that going to be the same thing with your unions?
It would have to be negotiated, and yes, if it's still legal to do. If the Supreme Court doesn't kill it, ultimately either by negotiations or there's another way to do it through a ballot measure and a vote, yes, agency shop is what's needed for the reasons Dave's alluded to. You know, if you have too many freeloaders benefiting from the services, the few that are paying membership dues have to pay more, and the whole thing starts to unravel. So you want to have everybody pay as reasonable and small amount as necessary to support the services that you want.
Yeah, we charge the BEC rate, which is a decision that allows you to pull out political action, charitable contributions out of your dues. They only have to pay for representation. In our local, to be on the safe side, that's about 90% of the dues rate, so they get a 10% discount. And which, when you're not a member, you can't vote on your contract, you can't come to meetings, you don't get the life insurance that we provide through our membership. So we got a little extra to sell, but that Supreme Court decision right now is kind of 50-50, if that, or maybe even loaded the other way against us. So it's going to be a challenge for public employees because they're trying to diminish your voice. Because when we don't have the income to take on the politicians, we don't have the income for your representation, it makes you weaker. No matter what anybody says or how strong we fight for you, when everybody isn't paying and pulling together, it's an issue. And it's an issue in right-to-work states. They make 20 to 30% less than closed shop states like California. You go to the South, look at the wage rates.
It'll sure make our jobs harder. Our agency shop rate right now is 95% of regular dues, the $43.50. So it's almost the same as dues, but it's a little bit less.
Yes.
I was told by BCEA that due to the fact that I don't pay the extra dollar, I'm a weak link. Now is that an extra dollar involved with your fees?
Is there an extra dollar fee involved?
I think that's the difference we were just talking about.
Yeah, I think that's the fair share.
It's a little bit less for the fair share fee. It's not a dollar, it's a percentage.
So your fees are just, they're going to be double the salary or the $43.50 a month, and that's including all of the extra benefits.
Services.
Less 10% if you're a fee payer. But my philosophy on fee payers is, quite frankly, I don't kick them out of meetings. I encourage them to come to meetings because if they come and hear what we have to say, I mean, you got to lead, and maybe I can turn those folks into members, and I have. So I don't segregate them. Obviously, they can't vote on the contract because that's against our bylaws and constitution that you have to be a member. But I include them, try to bring them along. Consequently, we have very, very few fee payers in our local.
Hey, likewise here, when we get a call for representation from health, there's a legal duty to represent everybody, whether they're members or not. So it's an organizing opportunity to persuade somebody to join if we end up representing a fee payer. And usually they join because they see the need, the value of belonging.
Well, if I was part of a union that I believed in, I would be against it all.
Right.
That stuff that we heard about the meetings that BCEA is having, and they're kind of just laying it on you. You got to get together. Well, if you don't have anybody to lead, and they don't have the intelligence to lead you, they're bringing in a union buster, they call him. The guy's been with 5 different unions in the last 30 years. He just found out he's even applied to UPEC and some other places. This guy can't find a home, and now he's going to come in here and try to convince you to stick with BCEA. These folks don't know what they're doing. They're about ready to lose the entire thing. They're getting decerted in their own backyard in Contra Costa County, their headquarters, by us. And that's coming down the first week of January, and that'll be on the front page for our campaign, obviously. So, I mean, I don't see any groundswell for BCEA anywhere. There's a couple of hanger-ons there, but,
And I'm going to say one thing, Tom Warner's showed interest in becoming a supervisor at BCEA. I was at that meeting and they rolled their eyes. So that's the kind of representation he's getting.
He told me he's an interim supervisor now. He's probably going to get the job. At that point, he'll pull out of BCEA, but he still supports, the bargaining units, the general unit, the other unit. The brief conversation that I had with him, as I understand it, his petitions aren't even ready yet, and we'll probably end up supporting him if that's what the members want to do. But because I tell you, some voice that's listening to labor on the board of supervisors is better than what we got now, and he's running against that one guy that I guess I'm not too involved in your politics down here. I know you know.
Okay, so to try to get through questions a little faster, since we only have 25 minutes left, let's try to move quickly. Start in the back, and then we'll come over.
I'm Gary with Social Children's Services. My questions were selfish, not me. I went through the negotiations the last time until I was so disillusioned I decided it didn't matter anymore. They said to us at that time that I've been topped out for over a decade. And there's no longevity. When I brought those things up, they clearly said that there was nothing, it was a pipe dream, that there was nothing that they could possibly do about that. And so even though I totally appreciate all this about the health because it is important. And Teamsters evidently doesn't have an HMO, which has me scared. But what back to the thing, I just want to know, is that a pipe to expect that the, rather than just the 2 or 3%, which doesn't show a lot of our checks, that there would be more steps to grow into and longevity?
Well, longevity is one of the areas that you can get greater wage increases than other units because it doesn't look like an across-the-board wage increase. So I know Steve's been successful and I've been successful in adding steps onto the salary schedule because it takes care of your most senior people and then the junior people can always get there. So maybe they don't get there right away, but at least you're building the top. And I put that on the table in almost every negotiations. Let's take care of the senior people, gives the junior people a place to go. It may cost you a little bit in a general wage increase, but overall it's generally a better deal. You retire at a higher rate, you know, it's a plus plus.
It's a bargaining position, and it's a pipe dream for you guys to want it if you don't have a union to engage and fight and win on those issues. So whoever you choose needs to take those issues on and develop a program to change the county's response to those proposals. It's absolutely feasible. I gotta tell you, there's no harder conservative counties to deal with than Modoc County, Glenn County. I mean, Butte County is no different. I mean, you're dealing with the same kind of supervisors, and we have an incredibly rich longevity pay schedule in Modoc County that I personally negotiated. 2 months ago, we just enriched Glenn County's longevity scheme of pay where you get 9% more with 20 years of service. So it absolutely can be done, but you have to have leadership in an organization that will take you down that path. There's only 2 sources of bargaining power. I stayed up last night and typed them up and printed them into this booklet so you guys can read them at your leisure. Political action and work stoppage. Two sources of getting the other side to change its mind. Political action is preferred, it's long-term, but it takes a long time to get it into play. Job action is quick. You need to be able to do both. Butte County will never pay attention to you guys if you're not able to do a work stoppage. That's why we set out from day one of representing the skilled trades unit to make it clear that's absolutely a tool in our toolbox and a viable bargaining strategy to be able to do a legally protected work stoppage. And we proved that for Butte County employees. We haven't been successful yet, but we're on that path.
My concern right now, Steve, is that you've got the skills trade workers unit, but you haven't had a contract in what, 18 months, 15 months?
The fact that we don't have a contract is exactly why I asked Robin to be here. It's proof that UPEC listens to the will of the membership. UPEC staff does not make that decision. Members decide. Members told us, we're not going to settle till we get a 5% cost of living, not 2%. We're not going to settle till we reestablish a percentage-based formula. So the fact we don't have a contract is proof of a successful representation situation, not proof that we're unsuccessful. Now, I know I've been hearing that, oh, they can't negotiate a contract. We'll get the Teamsters in there and we'll get an instant contract. I've been hearing stuff like that. You got to follow the will and direction of the members and have the staff expertise to put these strategies into play. That's how we do our business.
When we first got UPEC, the road crew wanted to strike that day. I mean, that day, 5 days. We're not going to plow roads, we're not going to do this. Steve talked us down, said no, there's procedures, processes, so we had to go through all that to get to impasse, to still keep fighting. That's why it's taken so long. And that's our will.
You can't strike till the impasse procedures are over.
And I understand that as being, you know, on the board of directors for years and years and years. I understand that, but that's just like asking us county employees to strike with them. We can't. We're under contract. We cannot strike while we're under contract.
Not much longer, though.
Yeah, nobody's asking you guys to strike right now. There's no strike clause. We might do something creative. Depends on how the members, what they decide next Thursday night when I'm meeting with Robin and her crew about seeing if the other county employees who can't yet strike are willing to help them have a sustained effort. But we haven't decided that yet. But absolutely, when your guys' contracts expire and you're able to go and expedite the impasse procedures, we chose not to go to fact-finding for the skilled trades unit so we could strike sooner rather than later. Let's get everybody on the same page. It's divide and conquer right now. The county has you on different contract expirations. It's hard to organize all that. If we can all get on the same page and do a county-wide job action, you're going to have a quicker chance, a sooner chance to negotiate and reestablish that medical formula. Otherwise, it's going to take political action. It's going to take years of trying to line up 3 supervisors. We need to do that too, but it'll be a quicker result if we can do a county-wide job action.
Okay, so wait, so
Larry.
let's give them a chance.
You don't have the time or the money to wait for that process right now. When I tell them what we're offering you, and I agree we should all be on one page, and I think it should be the Teamsters page, but the other thing is, like, again, I could walk into the negotiations today with your support, agree to that 2%, that money they put on the cap or whatever, put you on a Teamsters plan and put thousands of dollars in your pocket in a year. And then we can do the long-range plan of, I'm all for getting more percentages towards your health and welfare, but you also need money because when you retire, you need to have your perishable income up there. So at some point, you got to put money towards wages. This will allow us to concentrate on the wage side. If we can get into the Teamsters plan, I'm confident I can do it. I've done it before. And if they want a damn political issue and they stop us from getting into a Teamsters plan, and because the public doesn't understand, more money, all they hear is you're eating at the public trough, drinking at the public trough, you're public employees, you got a pension, we don't. That's not a good issue in the public. But if you sit out in the streets and say, they won't let us have better health and welfare for less money just because they don't want to, you got an issue. You got an issue to turn those board of supervisors.
I have an issue.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm with Children's Services, and one of the things that a couple of my coworkers brought up is for us to go out on strike, our work is all going to still be waiting there 5 days later. Nobody else is going to do it for us, and it's really not going to hurt. We don't fill the board of supervisors at that point of the county. Financially, it would hurt it more by us not making our mandates, which would be more of a 30-day, 60-day, or 90-day lockout, or not doing our job. So what's some other creative things that you guys think of besides that we might hurt the county bargaining to help us?
Well, you have all your internal organizing, you have work to the rule, where you only do what you absolutely have to do. But I think what you really need to do is put legitimate proposals on the table, and if they're not willing to go with them, you need to put political pressure on them. As far as on the job side, it's a tough go, public employees striking. You virtually get no support from the public, because most of them don't have pensions, don't have health and welfare, or not what you have, so you're not going to get this groundswell of people, and the board of supervisors are just sitting there going, yeah, go ahead, because you live in a conservative community and you're not really affecting them. So, I mean, you need to build your internal organizing, get your committees together, and just, try to get the job done. And some of that is actually establishing a relationship with the county of respect so you get what you want at the bargaining table. Like I have in Shasta County, and that's how I got them into the Teamsters plan, because they respect us. It was a viable option, and it worked. So you're in a tough spot as a public employee. I'm not sure striking is the best thing to do.
Yeah, I after 35 years of being a lead negotiator, thousands of contracts, I truly believe there's really only 2 sources of power for settling contracts for public employees, and that's a work stoppage or political action. And we want to do both. Strikes are messy. It's never as clean as if we're gone, we win, or, and there's all kinds of different jobs, and there's less of an effect and more of an effect. One of the things of doing a work stoppage properly done is that you're standing up for yourselves, and you're telling the community and the board of supervisors, we're frustrated with how we're being treated. So one thing you get is an instant morale boost because you're standing up for yourselves. Now, at what point does it change management's mind where they offer more? Usually not with the first strike. We have not been successful with our 2-day yet. We're talking next week about doing another strike and a more extended one. In Trinity County last year, it took 2, a 2-day and a 6-day, before we got extra pay offered to us. And the lazy union rep would say, we can't strike unless we get 80% vote or something like that. We don't do it that way. You can strike successfully with less, and you can strike successfully even with the jobs where your work's going to pile up till you come back, because you're doing a larger change of the relationship with the employer. Even if your strike is unsuccessful that year, you have proven you are willing to be more active, and you're putting money in the bank to be treated better next year. So in Trinity County, we had a successful strike with 30% participation. But guess what? A big part of that 30% shut down the landfill over there. There's no curbside pickup, in Trinity County, so we had that effect. So you just have to cobble this together. It's always a mess, and do the best you can to have that in effect. The public never supports this stuff. That's why one of our things we do, I call a first strike a training strike, is we go to the community, explain why we're doing it. And we pick a nonprofit. We pick breast cancer awareness, and we gathered money. You guys helped donate to show the community we're not upset with them, we're upset with the board of supervisors. So there's ways to do it.
The Teamsters aren't immune from strikes, if you know our history. We know how to strike. If we struck, they're not getting any milk, they're not getting their laundry done, Cisco ain't delivering, they're not getting any food products. We represent the bus drivers in town. I mean, we can have some effect on them. But I think the first thing you have to do is try to establish that relationship with the employer. You're not going to walk away from your clients. I get it. I mean, you have a responsibility to those clients and social services. That's going to be very difficult for you to do. I'm not sure how that would work. So you have to look at some imaginative ways to get things done. Trades and crafts, or my truck drivers when we strike, UPS. I mean, it's just a big bad employer, and you got to have an issue. You got to have an issue. You can't just say we want more money, because that doesn't get you any support. You got to have some other issue.
Okay, can we move forward so we can get more questions in before we're done?
So over the years, I've seen how things work in the county too. Like with children's services, they can't walk out. They can't do that. And with public works, the county seems to hire contractors or plan ahead. They know what's going to go on. So, and they know that we can't afford to wait. They know. We're not getting by right now. So obviously political pressure to change the board of supervisors' minds, because that's the only thing that most of us see is ever going to work. Because you go in there and they don't want to give you anything. It's always no, 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 no. You walk up and you talk to the supervisors, which I've done on several occasions, and they listen to you, and then they say, okay, time to move on. Then they close their doors and give themselves a raise. How do we put the pressure on the politicians? Which, you guys, how will you do that? How will we make change? Because I don't see anything else working.
You get people elected that will listen to you. That's how you do it.
Yeah, but how are they, as
you put a political machine together to get people elected that will listen to you on the board of supervisors. Or you have a good issue that you go to the public with. And if that's, your families can't afford health and welfare, and they're on food stamps, or whatever it might be, but you've got to have an issue.
Yeah, you have to have a comprehensive, sustained political effort. And we have built those machines in other areas where we have more members. We would build that here. And like I talked about earlier, get all the different groups to work together. Because you don't want to have different endorsements by one association or one union, fighting over which candidate to support. We've experienced that in Shasta County, so we put a coalition together to coordinate those efforts. We interview at the same time, we endorse at the same time, we decide which union's going to do house calling, walking, which has money, would rather just write a check. That needs to happen here in Butte County too. But I think it's defeatist to think you guys can't run successful work stoppages. That's an education problem. And when you have decades of an organization that hasn't been willing to educate how that can work and to do it, you're giving up half of the tools that you can use for negotiations.
And I think you've got to have an end game. Walking out for 2 or 3 days and getting nothing for it, you just lost 3 days worth of pay. You got to have an end game.
That's right.
You got to have an end game.
Well, if the implication is we don't have an end game, that's not true. We do have an end game, and that's to negotiate a reestablishment of the medical contribution to be a percentage based. And we're not going to give up until we get there.
Okay, Val?
So, first of all, I was really happy to see these guys go out for their strike and was out there with them on the line supporting the county employees.
We even had the big
And I
Teamster
think
truck
it-
show up.
What?
We had the big Teamster truck show up.
I think that it helped set a precedent and get everybody going. Because I think people are afraid to do that. And so that was great, but I also heard that the county got people in there to do those jobs, so, correct me if I'm
Is that
wrong.
right?
To
He's
take
taking
the
the
jobs, so that kind of screwed that. But other than that, like, why do you think that you keep saying it wasn't successful? Is that why? I mean,
No, I've said it wasn't successful yet.
yeah, I understand that, but I'm not talking about the future, I'm talking about what happened,
Well,
so.
I think it was totally successful.
So what did they, what was it, county's?
It was successful because we proved that Butte County employees can do a legally protected work stoppage
But
and not
weren't
be
you ignored
disciplined.
by the county? I mean, what did they do?
I'm sorry?
What was their reaction?
Oh,
They
say-
met for days and days sweating. What are we gonna do at the landfill? Landfill has to stay open. So
Right.
they ended
got
up
people
hiring
to work.
contractors, they brought people out for the office that didn't know what to do, but they did it. Recology is a union-based group, they had to get their supervisors to drive garbage trucks in, they hadn't been in a truck cab in I don't know how many years. So it affected a lot.
It's pretty rare when a first ever
Not enough to
strike,
give you what you were asking for.
not yet.
No, but we shook the tree.
Huh?
We shook
Yeah.
that tree.
It's pretty rare when a first effort creates a settlement. It has to be part of a sustained effort. We made that clear to our members at the meetings where they decided they wanted to strike. Look, this isn't likely to settle. It's a step, and it's going to take a more sustained effort. So we're in the middle of that still.
Like I said, Teamsters are not, we're not, strikes aren't new to us, but generally when we strike, we don't go back to work till we get a deal. That doesn't always work in public sector. Obviously, it hardly ever works in public sector because, the types of jobs you do. But it's, I don't know. I think there's a lot of other alternatives before you strike. UPEC obviously has run through their alternatives to try to get what they want. I think that we have an additional alternative to try to get you something without a strike and work on that long-term solution to these folks respecting you and kicking some money down to you over the years from the Board of Supervisors.
Again,
He's been asked.
Dave, we've talked about your commitment to action, and as far as solidarity is concerned, we know that strikes aren't going to be the end-all, be-all necessarily. But as we all know, the less solidarity that we do have, the more strikes we might end up having to do. And of course, there's many alternatives that you can take and alternate actions and different routes, but like you were saying, we don't have the funding, the time, and the money to expend to wait around for those things to happen. So what are some small things that you would do for like the employee that, if, say Wednesday morning comes and, hey, it's time to get up out of your chair and leave your cubicle and go on a strike, what are some small things that you do to kind of give the confidence to the employee to want to be able to just do that?
How do you build participation in a strike?
Exactly.
Well, the first thing is to stop the rumors out there that if you participate, you're going to get disciplined or retaliated against. That was the first problem we ran into when we were planning this strike. And so part of announcing it ahead of time was to be able to challenge the county to agree that it's a legally protected activity, so we have something in writing, so we can get the people that were wobbling on the fence about participating encouragement that they'll be okay. We did that by asking for that, being told no, and then because of the rumors out there that people will be disciplined, we filed charges with the Public Employment Relations Board accusing the county of retaliating already for our exercise of our rights. Filed that charge the week before, and then Brian Ring called me up and wanted to settle it. I said, oh, we'll pull that charge as soon as we get something from you that agrees the employees are participating in a legally protected activity. We got it. So we dropped the charge. and we're able to give that to everybody. That was a first step. It's an education process. It's a challenge to take a group that for decades has been being stepped on and not exercising all their rights at the bargaining table to step up and do those kinds of activities. They're concerned about it. So I always call it the first one's a training strike. Think about negotiations with a car dealership. There's equal motivation. Dealer wants to make money selling a car, you want to buy the car. There's interest in a settlement. There's absolutely no freaking interest at the table negotiating with management. They get nothing out of it unless you have something to hold back from them, which is, as messy as it might be, because strikes are never clean or simple, the ability to hold back your work. That's all you have. You have that second bite of the apple that private sector doesn't have. You can elect and unelect the people you bargain with. That's important. But if you don't have the capability of having a real threat of not working for a day or 3 days or a week, there's no motivation to bargain fairly.
My answer to that is, I think to get a group of employees, I've been involved in several strikes. I mean, big strikes like UPS and other ones. And in order to get the buy-in, I think you got to lay the groundwork. You got to go through the bargaining. You got to go through, they're not giving us this. If they refuse to give us our health and welfare, that's a huge issue where it doesn't make any sense why they don't want to do it. It's just because they want to punish you or whatever. I mean, that's a huge issue. You need to get your members to buy into why you're doing it. Not just, hey, let's go stand out on the street for 2 days because we want a 5% raise instead of a 2% raise. You really got to dial it down and have your issues lined up, and again, have a hook with the public a little bit on why you're out there and why you're being treated unfairly.
The best you can do with the public is try and neutralize the natural adverse reaction, because that's what they do, and then you get editorial and all that. If you can explain why you're doing it and do a PR campaign, you can neutralize that negative reaction. Otherwise, you're never going to get public support for a strike, but you can kind of take them out of the picture by having a PR campaign to explain why you're doing what you're doing. That's why we announced the first strike and find a nonprofit to donate money to. So we're doing public service even though we're not working.
Go ahead, sir.
It's good information for everybody.
First part of the statement, I was at the Board of Supervisors meeting with UPEC. One of the things that they wanted was a solution for the situation.
Yep.
They're the one who has to sign these contracts off. It sounds like the Teamsters have one solution for us, for the 2% that we would get, the $81 a month and the one-time fee, plus their medical, is money in our pockets. I want to know what UPEC's case is on that.
If you guys are going to make a decision for representation, really forevermore, for the foreseeable future, because once you choose an AFL-CIO union, other AFL-CIO unions cannot go raid them. Okay, so once UPEC is elected for a union, Teamsters can't come and solicit membership. Once Teamsters are elected, UPEC can't come and solicit membership. That's a rule for all the real unions, all the big unions. BCEA is not part of that, so they're subject to being raided. By the way, the AFL-CIO umbrella also gives our organization the same, don't cross the picket line for the truck deliveries and all that kind of stuff. When we struck up in, another war story, it'll take too long. We have the same access to all that. So if you're going to choose representation for a health plan, which may be attractive compared to what you have right now, without dealing with the who pays what of future increases, you're going to choose the Teamsters because you want that alternative health insurance. We're suggesting to you that it's more complicated than that, and the real issue is getting the county to pay more money, but that's up to you guys to choose. So what UPEC brings to the table is what we've been trying to do with your unit, which is to stand up for once to fight the board over these core issues of pay and health insurance. And you have to have a public position on the amounts. Our position is 5% on salary. Does that mean we wouldn't settle for 3 or 2.5 or something? Depends on what happens with the health insurance. We're asking for an 80-20 split. Would we settle for a 70-30 split of future increases or 50-50? Anything that's percentage-based, we'd probably entertain that. We haven't been successful in cracking that loose yet, but that is the course that the members have set us on. And members can feel differently about this. You know, you can have, we go with the majority. You might have very passionate members saying, I want to settle and I don't want to strike. That's okay. But we have to go with the majority vote as long as people are making an informed decision about what their options are.
Okay.
Okay, insinuating that the Teamsters, you vote for the Teamsters for their health and welfare.
I kind of just said it.
Is BS. The fact is, we can represent you just as good as they can. And I think they're good representatives. We both are. And I would say we're equal. I would say, you know, I'd like to think we're better, but they probably think they're better, but I think overall, you're looking at the same thing. We just bring an extra tool to the table. And that makes a difference in negotiations.
And resources, and money, and strength, and a lot of other things.
If we go to a 70-30, I pick one out of pocket. I pay more than I'm paying right now.
Okay.
I've already done the numbers.
70-30 is about $600 a month out of your pocket for your family.
So I think, are both of you guys still gonna be here for questions and
Oh, yeah,
stuff for
okay.
people? So that wraps up this portion of it, but both the representatives will be available for.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.